somebody had asked me just recently about my love of music, and if I weren't conducting, what would I be doing? And I really think that conducting found me.
And fortunately for St. Louis audiences, Kevin McBeth found the In Unison chorus of the St. Louis Symphony Orchestra. The road he traveled to become chorus director began in his hometown of Houston, Texas. McBeth's earliest exposure to music was in churches, classical music in his father's Lutheran church, and gospel in his mother's Baptist church.
And the story is told that in any situation at the end of the service, I would make a beeline from the pew down to whatever instrument was playing. So if it was the organ, I was there just observing everything. Or if somebody was at the piano, I was just standing and watching. So I guess I've always had this fascination.
That fascination served McBeth well in college, where his formal education focused on vocal music with the goal of singing in operas and musicals. But it was also his first opportunity to conduct both instrumental and choral groups. McBeth moved to St. Louis in 1995 to be director of music at Manchester United Methodist Church, a position he continues to hold in addition to his work with the St. Louis Symphony Orchestra.
I've always strived to be connected with the community. I think it certainly benefits me, but it benefits our church, and there have been some wonderful connections with every church that I've served, where I've also been able to be a part of the community. And so right away in 1995, I auditioned and sang with the symphony chorus. So my entire time just about in St. Louis has been connected in some way, in some form or fashion, with the symphony.
McBeth describes his appointment to In Unison as a full-circle experience, and 2021 marks McBeth's 10th anniversary. He succeeded the esteemed founding director Robert Ray, who retired in 2010.
Robert is he is the quintessential musician. Another one of those people that I think from a very early place in his life, music was always first and foremost. In a lot of ways, he and I are very similar in some of the experiences that we had as young musicians and growing up in the church and growing up around all sorts of styles of music. He was more the pianist, where my background is vocal music, and so I began as a singer. But Robert was a pianist and vocal coach, and he still recalls his 15 years with In Unison, as he said, as some of the best years of his life. So it's just been great to stay connected with him. He has been a tremendous supporter of mine in my time in trying to fill those very big shoes.
Over the years, McBeth's role with the SLSO has expanded beyond the chorus. He has welcomed a number of acclaimed singers to Powell Hall for guest performances he's conducted. Some of the who's who includes Jennifer Holliday, Leslie Odom Jr., Sutton Foster, Boyz II Men, and Oleta Adams, with whom he worked twice.
When we worked with her for the first time, she and I had become very good friends and talked on the phone, and just talked about her hopes and dreams of what this concert would be with her visiting with us. And she said, "Kevin, do you mind if I came early? Let me come sometime and let me just work with you in the chorus, and let me just spend an evening with you, and let's just get to know each other." And that is extremely rare. There are very few times that we get a chance to have that happen. Most of the time, the artist comes, it's a dress rehearsal, we run everything through, the next night we perform, and that's our experience. But fortunately, Oleta and her husband live in Kansas City. She said, "We'll drive over, we'll come on a Monday night, and we'll just come and hang out with the chorus." I can't tell you what that experience was like. I mean, it's the emotion is so close to the surface in thinking about what we experienced with her.
When the St. Louis Symphony Youth Orchestra marked its 50th anniversary in January of 2020, it was Kevin McBeth wielding the baton. But any celebrating of his own 10-year anniversary within Unison is not to be, thanks to COVID-19. So Kevin McBeth, along with the rest of the musical world, is imagining the performance landscape post-pandemic.
It's going to affect the kind of music that we do. In Unison, chorus on the roster typically has in between 120 and 130 singers, as is the Symphony chorus. And so with both of those ensembles and that kind of base number, obviously, I don't think we'll be able to. We won't be able to start back with that number of singers right away on stage in the hall. And so, how do we select music that we can do with smaller ensembles and smaller instruments accompanying us and all of those kinds of things. So it's taken some strategic work, and our artistic department and Maria Lynn Bernard, our CEO, has been at the forefront of taking each of those steps and trying to help us work through all of that as we get ready to go back to work and begin singing. But I think, like with the coming of spring and seeing things come to life again, I just have hope beyond hope that we'll start to see singing, even in smaller groups, come to life again. So that's my hope. That's my daily prayer, and I'm looking forward to the possibility of that happening.